Over the past year, and more specifically right now, there are multiple rumours floating around of a Sonic Heroes remake. This spans from Sega dropping hints across several pieces of media, as well as multiple credible leakers stating the game is either in the works or being considered. I'm here to discuss a few of the leaks, but more importantly focus on what Sega has been doing to hint at this, as leakers can't always be trusted and Sega is of course the main source. But before we get into that, did you know that 99% of you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel? How about we fix this? So be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you'll be notified for the next time I upload. And check out all my other videos I've done on this channel. I do animations, I do gaming, I do reactions, and of course I do these discussion videos. So why not subscribe? It's free after all. So what evidence do we have of a Sonic Heroes remake? The rumour of a Sonic Heroes remake all originated from a tweet from the credible leaker Midori, stating that a Heroes remake was being considered. I'm going to try and avoid as much of Midori's info here, and otherwise try to prove as many believe Midori is incredible and a lot of the Sonic Heroes stuff caused Midori to retire. I will point out that some will argue Midori is incredible because they lied about their identity, and on the previous account they created the infamous Grinch leak for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But under their Midori alias, everything they said had been proven to be correct time and time again, as they correctly leaked Sonic Rumble, Persona 3 Reloaded, and much, much more. I'm not really sure why, after this info of their previous account came out, everyone went from believing every word that came out of their mouth to shooting it down when what they were saying kept getting proven right under their new alias. But that's all I'll say on that. Now, while I don't want to touch on what Midori and other leakers have said, the reason this is a trending topic right now is because of what another leaker has said, so I think it's worth mentioning everything that has occurred for true context, and then we'll look into what Sega might be doing to hint towards this. The new leaker, Sonic as Zero, has stated a Heroes remake is coming in 2025. The original rumor was that this hadn't even started development and a Heroes remake was only being considered, which would likely be scheduled for a 2028 release. The reason Sonic as Zero is different is because he's leaked a lot of information about Sonic Movie 3. And not just any information. He's provided footage of the film and previously released pictures from the set, such as the Maria actress with the stand-in model of Shadow, high quality images of the poster that previously hasn't been shown, as well as wider shots of the poster, again which hasn't been seen, and even renders of Shadow before the trailer's released. He also released footage of the trailer early, which was absolutely huge on Twitter, as fans were clamoring to see any footage they could of the trailer. So Sonic as Zero definitely has some kind of inside source to not only leak this information, but to even provide footage, pictures, and renders. We can at least say they are relatively credible. For this to be coming out next year is extremely far-fetched. Having said that, this is a remake and not an original game. Crash Bandicoot 4 is an original game with brand new assets, and it only took 2 years to make. And if all the hype surrounding the rumor of Heroes being considered last year caught Sega's attention, there's every chance they could have put a lot of money towards this getting made as fast as possible. Either way, let's dissect what Sega is doing. To start off, let's take a look at the Sonic movies. As we know, Sega have been pushing Shadow in the games and merchandising up to the release of Sonic Movie 3. This is obviously because with Shadow being the main villain, it's a great way to not only market the movie, but bring movie fans into the games and vice versa. So my theory is that if they introduce a new character in the post-credit scene of Sonic Movie 3, they will likely do something with the games in order to promote that character. If you want to know who I think this could be, check out my Sonic Movie 3 post-credit character video, which will be linked in the description and will also be in the card in the corner. But if a single character is coming at the end of Sonic Movie 3, then why Sonic Heroes? Well, let's take a look at what happened in the lead up to Movie 3. Sonic Team knew a few years before Sonic Movie 2 released that Shadow was going to be the post-credit scene character. They then started development on Sonic X Shadow Generations whilst developing Sonic Frontiers, so if there's another character in Movie 4, they've likely already started development on another title to promote Sonic Movie 4. We know that after the success of Sonic Frontiers, SEGA provided a bigger budget to the games, and Sonic Team has grown in terms of how many people are part of the team, so that they're able to develop multiple games alongside one another, like how the development of Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Superstars, and Sonic X Shadow Generations, where they had all overlapped at one another. SEGA have also made plans to make Sonic an annual franchise. After Frontiers, we never thought we'd get another game for another 3 to 5 years, but we've got brand new games every year such as Sonic Superstars, the upcoming Sonic X Shadow Generations, so another having been in the works is definitely possible. It's likely that right now Sonic Team are currently working on Sonic Frontiers 2 alongside other projects. But like I asked previously, if a single character is coming at the end of Sonic Movie 3, then why Sonic Heroes? Well, technically we already know a new character, or should I say, characters, that are about to be introduced into the franchise. In the comic Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the official movie prequel, we actually see the Chaotix appear in the background of one of the comic panels. This means the Chaotix already exist in this universe and are roaming around currently. And if we look at more leaks floating around now, there's rumors of a Chaotix TV show, and what better game to promote them than Sonic Heroes? Obviously at some point in the movie franchise, whether it be movie 3 or 4, we can assume that Amy will show up and be part of the main cast. If she shows up in movie 3, then I really think the games could go in the direction of a Heroes remake. If the Chaotix TV show is also happening, then what better way to show off all the newly introduced characters, that being Shadow, Amy, and the Chaotix. We don't know if other characters will show up in movie 3, but if Rouge did, then this rumor is looking more and more likely. Moving on from the movies, let's look at other media, starting with Dark Beginnings. Some have even pointed out that in episode 2 of Dark Beginnings, there's a real push for Team Dark. Ian Flynn previously stated that SEGA didn't see Team Dark as teammates, but clearly this has changed now. Pushing Team Dark, I guess, could be a sign of something bigger coming. Obviously with Sonic X Shadow Generations, it kind of makes sense to push this as they are part of Shadow's story, but the story likely could work even without them. I really don't think they'll be heavily involved. It's just weird to me that Team Dark were essentially radio silent and then all of a sudden they're getting the full focus. Dark Beginnings aside, what else do we know SEGA has done that means we could have a Sonic Heroes remake? Well, a huge part of the game development is asset creation. Sonic Team for years have now used assets from previous games. Creating new assets is quite rare for them unless it's really unique. In Shadow Generations, there's a Metal Overlord boss fight. It's kind of odd that Shadow even fights Metal Overlord, considering it isn't really a huge part of his past. Everyone was part of this fight in Heroes, and if anything, it's more a part of Team Sonic's past than Shadow's. But maybe the reason Shadow fights Metal Overlord could be because if they are remaking Heroes, then the Metal Overlord assets was ready at Sonic Team's disposal. So to cut time and costs of Shadow Generations, it would have made sense to just use this. Not only this, Rail Canyon was remade in Shadow Generations, a stage from Sonic Heroes that they had to make brand new assets for. But if Heroes is being remade, then it would have been cheaper to just use the existing assets from the remake than to remake another level from Shadow's past. This may even be why we've seen Chaos Island, because of it being cheaper to reuse assets. I guess also Seaside Hill from Sonic Generations also has assets ready to go for a remake. So there's really a lot of cutting corners in each game if the Sonic Heroes remake is real, with both Sonic X Shadow Generations and Sonic Heroes borrowing from one another. These could all be the original assets though, but we can dream. Finally, what else has SEGA done that potentially proves a Heroes remake is on the cards? Well, some have speculated that because the Tails Tube series used footage of Sonic Heroes last year, Tails is talking and then suddenly the screen behind him glitches and shows footage from Sonic Heroes. I don't really think this is a tease at all, and more so just a funny thing that they were trying for Tales 2, so I'd rather not look into that further. Let's say this is real though. What would I personally like to see? Well, having played through the game again recently, one of the things I think should be changed is having to beat all 4 stories before getting to the final story. Yes, I know the final story is meant to serve as the conclusion to each team's story, but I really feel it's not necessary to play through each. It feels like playing the game 4 times over, and that gets a little tedious. If you play as one team and got all the Chaos Emeralds, that could be enough to unlock the final story. Alternatively, sometimes the game felt unfun to play, so maybe a remake would solve this and make playing through all 4 stories less tedious. The slippery controls and constantly being killed for how poor some of the sections have been made gets really frustrating, and having to do Casino Park 4 times is not fun. Maybe the addition of other teams could be fun, like a Team Babylon or a team with Mighty Ray and Honey, or something similar, but they shouldn't need to be completed to reach the final story. Heroes had so much potential. It's a great concept that really could have gone further had it been executed correctly, which leads on to my next point. One of the other rumors currently floating around is that this is a supposed sequel to Sonic Heroes. But this is not the case at all, and is actually just journalists reporting the leak I've just discussed incorrectly, or intentionally reporting the leak wrong for clicks. If it was a sequel though, this would be where Sonic Team could capture the potential they've missed. Imagine original stages for each team as well as additional teams. That's a huge task because they'd essentially be developing 4 games if they were to have 4 teams with original levels. Heroes could have had the stages in different orders for each team. So Sonic Team could have started on Seaside Hill and Team Dark could have started on Rail Canyon, for example. It still may be tedious, but this would at least be better because you wouldn't know which stage is coming up next. Now, which would I rather happen? A remake for sure. It just makes more sense than a sequel right now because Heroes is sort of trapped on older systems and some gamers have no way to currently play the game. And all the issues of the controls could easily be fixed. Heroes is a good game at its core that just suffers from poor execution. Even though the game is one of my first ever games ever made, a remake could do wonders. But what do you guys think? Do you think there should be a Sonic Heroes remake, and what would you like to see in a potential Sonic Heroes remake? Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, we'll just go from there. So I thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all my social media pages, which will be linked in the description down below, and I will see you all in my next video. So until then, take care, bye bye.